to register and you chose to show up. That's amazing. Everything is a choice. So we are glad you're here. Continue to show up and continue to connect. All right. So let's we're going to do an identifying your skills. And this is constantly evolving. Remember, things that you have done over the course of your career, even things that you've done in your personal life and with your hobbies can be transferable into a skill that can correlate with your career. So let's take a little pop quiz. Do y'all remember the little Scantrons with the little bubble sheets? I am in that older category, and man, it's great to be alive. It's aging is a gift, I tell you. Let's test your skills and your knowledge. You ready? What is a skill? What is a skill? Please put in the chat. What do you think a skill would be? What's an example of a skill? Let's see what we have. Where's my chat, people? Typing, job related, you're proficient in. Very nice. Yes. Okay, a talent, anything that you can do. Is there an example? Can someone give me an example of a skill that you have? That's something that you think you do well? Yes, problem solving. Oh, Excel, my goodness. Excel and I have a love-hate relationship. It's getting better. That's wonderful. So anything you can do, basically anything you can do that is considered a skill. And so now we'll talk about shortly about how you can incorporate that into your resume. Now, how many skills do you think the average person has? That's a good question. How many skills do you think? 100, a dozen, a lot. Limitless? I like that. I had someone the other day, they typed in infinity and beyond. They gave us a little Buzz Lightyear, which was just totally great. So the average person, they say, if we're going to put it in a quantitative amount, it has between 500 and 800 skills. That's crazy. Now let's look at this next one it's kind of backwards. So how many skills can the average person identify? So normally that's 10. And then what percent of people cannot identify, sell, or prove their skills during an interview? That's not my favorite question. What percent of people cannot identify, sell, or prove a skill? So I want to talk about that a little bit. Let's unpack. I had a conversation with someone about this yesterday that was anxious about their interview and about just having a conversation with the recruiter over the phone. I encourage people that before you're going to have an interview, even if you haven't had to interview for years or provide resumes or just even talk to people about job searching or your capabilities or your talents, I would encourage you to just literally walk around the house and talk out loud about yourself. Just to talk out loud about, hello, my name is Jack. I am a career force specialist. I've been in this role for such and such amount of time. What I do currently in my job is, and then just get used to talking. If you can get used to saying things out loud to yourself, and even in movement, it makes it easier for you when you're going to have conversations with other people, whether it's a recruiter or during an interview, or just in at the grocery store when you talk to someone who's in line, because you're always in that networking mode. So to kind of help crush that fear set, that mindset to where you cannot identify your skills, then I would just encourage you just to talk out loud, because that just makes it feel natural. And then when you hear yourself, if you say, oh, that didn't come out well, or I could have used better verbiage there, then you can just kind of repeat and kind of get into a more comfortable mode. Sounds kind of corny, but it does work. So how about skills? How are they developed? Skills are developed through, is it A, through your work experience? B, education? Is it C, volunteer work? What about D, socializing with people? We have E, hobbies, F for sports, and G is all of the above. What are we thinking here, people? You know, it's unanimous. That's awesome. It is G. It's absolutely everything. Everything that we do in our lives, every experience, every interaction, it is how we develop just as people. And those are skills, are developments with interacting, with formulating, with problem solving, with connection. Absolutely. Very nice. And transferable. Everything is transferable. All right, let's take a peek. Did all the above. Okay, so what types of skills do you think are important to the actual employer? What do you think about this? Are they soft people skills? Will you fit in? Will you adapt and learn? I have heard it said, and it's really common, that if you receive an interview, then that means that the employer, the recruiter, management, they already think you have the skill. So that the actual interview is where they see if you are going to be a good fit for their team, if you do have the same communication style, if you're going to be likable, if you're going to be a good match. So that's something to consider. So soft skills, what are soft skills and what are people skills? What do you think about that? Anyone? Let's see what we can put in the chat. I think that's a good one, Robert. Soft skills very much are about being able to connect and to relate and to have those relationships and to be able to, soft skills not really quantitative compared to if you were to be in accounting, for example, and you had to be able to do numbers and spreadsheets. The soft skill is that kind of that relatability. So how does identifying your skills help your job search? So there's three top, this is what we've identified. So you're going to, during your job search, when you're putting your skills out there, you want to be able to prove your abilities to potential employers. And that means that you want to be able to share with them what it is that you have to offer that's going to make an immediate impact on their team and that's going to help carry the team through and to be successful, that you're that missing piece, kind of the missing piece in the puzzle. And then also to identify your skills, you're going to do that in your resume when you're writing your resume and when you complete your applications. You have to be able to put that to paper so that they can actually visually see what it is about you. And then selling your qualifications in an interview. That's the part to where you're going to have that face-to-face. Sometimes, well, a lot of times interviews are happening over, we've had many videos. Sometimes there's pre-recorded videos. I had to do those in the past. Then there's also just a Teams meeting, a Zoom. Sometimes people have Teams and Zoom meetings. They do it virtually, several interviews before they ever meet you in person. So that's an interesting. I don't know. Has anyone experienced that? How many folks have had their interviews, at least their initial interviews, be virtual? Yeah. Has anybody ever had the interview be where they sent you a link in advance and you had to answer questions being recorded without a single person there? It was you and the camera. I've had to do a couple of those in the past, and that was kind of scary for me. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it's recorded. And I remember they do feel awkward. And I remember I actually sent I sent an email and I said, what's gonna happen with my recording? Because I just thought, oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about the three types of skills. Okay, so there are the soft skill. So these are used to get along with others. These are things that aren't really tangible. It's something that you're going to be able to communicate through just your interactions with your kind of your grace and your suave and your savviness. There's the job skills. So job skills, that's specific to the job or the industry. So example, we had a gal that posted that she was great with Excel. She was an Excel guru. For someone that had a position that involved a lot of data, there would be Excel would be the skill that they would probably really hone in on. And then there's those transferable skills. And notice we have the little bubble in the middle that's taking the soft and the job skills and the transferable skills. That's where we're wanting to fuse. The transferable skills are what you take with you from any previous position that you can do down the road. There's been folks that have been lost their jobs in different industries that have minor panic because they say, my industry is evolving and changing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay within this area. And it's important to know that no matter what you've done in the past, even if it was something that was very much a niche industry, that your skills are always transferable. And that's where I think it's really crucial that you connect with one of your local career force representatives so that they can talk to you about, hey, let's look at that resume, let's look at your skills, let's map out kind of what we can do to get you on a new path. And then something else I think is really great when you connect with your local career force, consider taking career assessments. When I talk to people about career assessments, they say, like, when was the last time you took a career assessment? A lot of times people say, oh, that was back in high school. Well, look, take one again today, even if it's been 10, 15, 20, 30 years, because we evolve. All of our experiences in life, we evolve. And what's great about a career assessment is that you're going to answer like 40 or 50 questions. It's going to ask you about your personality, your likes, your dislikes, things that you enjoy, how you handle certain situations. And then it gives you this wonderful report, pretty darn accurate about yourself, the things that you're good at, along with your personality, kind of some of your weaknesses. And then it also gives you a list of different types of jobs and industries that might be a great match for you. So I always encourage people to take the career assessment, no matter where you are in your career, and then share that with your local career force, so that we can so that we can talk to you about our different programs, different trainings, and we can kind of help get you to where you want to be. So let's see, I'm just checking the chat to see if there's anything. Oh, Rad, perfect. Tell me what's going on.
Marnie has a question that has to do with how does she handle interviews that want you to prove your skills, such as like by doing a specific task for them, or how should she spend time doing those?
So how does she, let me see. So what's really great about the skill portion, and even the honest answer to this, when you are applying for a position on your resume, you need to, I'm going to wrap this up for you. When you're applying for a position on your resume on any application, you want to make sure that you're using the verbiage, that you are mirroring the words. And it's almost like you could do it plagiaristically for the qualifications and what they're asking for on the job description on your resume. That's really going to nip that in the bud for that. The reason why I say that is because AI, so artificial intelligence, a lot of time AI is going through and filtering, and that is the first line of any exposure that your resume has to anyone. So an AI is, they program it to only grab resumes that are using the exact verbiage. So the skills that are being asked for in a job description, only if you have them, of course, if you have those skills and capabilities, are what you need to be referencing on your resume. So that's truly where that would take place. Also, I want to share with you, and resume questions, interview cover letter, all that stuff, we have workshops for that that are fantastic. We have pre-recorded workshops that you can watch, and then that's also where you would connect with your local career force. But another thing I want to say about a resume, and even with the state, I will tell you, I spoke with a recruiter last week, and she was telling me her incredible frustration because she always tells people, please mirror the words, please put the exact words in your resume, because that's what they're looking for. If you back in the day, like 3 to 5 years ago, you could take a general resume and throw it out. Like people say, throw spaghetti at the wall, and someone would read your resume and they'd be able to say, oh, yeah, this would fit. This is what we're looking for. That's great. They would piece it together. Not today. And recruiters, for things to be, especially with the state, for each application to be equitable, you need to put legitimately copy word for word. If you meet the requirements in your resume, you need to put that in, because if you put something that's vague or just some sort of a similar job title, or if you want to get fancy and you switch the words up into something else, it may be interpreted a different way than what they're actually looking for. An employer is giving you in black and white what job requirements they want, what skills they want. If you have it, mirror it in your resume. Because, like the recruiter told me last week, she says, I can't assume what someone has. A person may be more qualified, but their resume is vague and they didn't mirror the job description. So I have to go with a different candidate because they can't assimilate that for you. So that's kind of it's kind of different than how we used to do resumes, isn't it? But yes, so that's how I would handle any type of putting your skills into the resume. Just make sure you're mirroring that job description. And also, I do see your red. Also, don't go above and beyond what they're asking for, because sometimes too much will get you put into the overqualified category. Okay, I'm ready.
Another question came up. Several applications asked for your permission for an AI evaluation. Do you recommend allowing this?
Yes, absolutely. And there's several reasons for that. That's an excellent question. So the way of the world now is AI, period. You can't get around it. I was at the doctor's office the other day, and there was a note on the cabinet as I was sitting there by myself waiting for the doctor that said that they use AI technology during their exams, and that it's possible that the doctor's note, what's put in my file forever for my medical record, would come through AI technology because it made it faster and efficient and more reliable. AI is the wave of the future. And so if you are applying for something and if it asks about the AI and it asks about incorporating it and allowing your candidacy, please say yes. If you say no, then that's going to immediately take you out of the running. I also encourage people, if you're not super comfortable or familiar with AI, we are going to send you a list of different resources to be able to take some different free classes. I would encourage you to become familiar and be more fluent in being able to talk about it, because that is really the wave of the future. Yes, sir.
Got another question about resumes. How many bullet points should we have under each experience?
So that is a great question. So for today, I know I did make the little blurb. I'm always going to blurb a little bit about, resumes and interviews and cover letters and such. Rad can put a link in the chat for the different Career Force events, which will take you to the different workshops that we have available. I would encourage you to sign up for a workshop that is directed towards resumes, and we also had those previously recorded. Awesome question. Okay, I'm going to advance to this awesome, amazing Bill Gates. Look at everything he has done. He says, many people have the confidence of their convictions. Oh, my people have the confidence of their convictions and they know their skills. That's pretty significant. The confidence and the conviction that you know your skills. I also want to add, I think that speaks a lot about him as an employer, because if you work with the right people, then you do have the confidence to be yourself and to shine and show your skills. So that's something to consider. Okay, so this is a checkpoint. Let's talk about know the 3 types of skills. Understand the importance of identifying your skills and how to identify your skills. So we're going to dive into applications. So an application in the sense of Like if you're an IT person, your mind goes a different direction when you hear applications. So applications means if you are when you're applying for a job, very rarely are things on paper anymore, every now and again, but most are online. There still are companies that when you go for your physical interview, that they still ask you to either sit at a computer and redo an application or sometimes a paper one. So for an application, it's really important that you have all of your information ready on hand in front of you. This is going to include the name of the employer, your job title, whether some folks have been at a company for several years, maybe their entire career, and they had numerous job titles. Make sure you have the exact dates. I would exact date, like month and year. If you're ever filling out an application and it has the 3 different areas with and it has a red asterisk where you have to populate it and it asks for the day, the month, and the year. In the past for me, so this is still April, I would say April 1st, 2025. I would just put the first of the month because unless you know the exact day, have the address for the employer. Even if the company is shut down, they're no longer available, you can Google and get the previous address that was there. Have their phone number. Now this is old school. We are going to update our slides. You do not have to put your salary, your previous salary. That's no longer applicable. And then you also, a lot of times they ask for your supervisor's information. I've had supervisors that are no longer in their position. Gosh, I've had supervisors that I just didn't want people to talk to because that just wasn't the best dynamic with that individual. And so I would just write HR in that role, in that position. You always want to, on your applications, even if you have sometimes we just have this, some people are a little disgruntled because things happen when you lose a job and it's not always pleasant. But remember that you need to put your best face forward and you need to, every way that you present yourself during phone conversations, with recruiters, whether you're submitting your application, any type of interaction with this employer, you want to put forth positive, encouraging. You want to be someone that people want to be around and to spend time with. And please be honest. Things do come out. And then especially with social media, I'm going to encourage people. This is a little commercial in my conversation with you. We had somebody reach out to us recently and they were extremely upset that they weren't getting any responses to any of their applications. Incredible human being, amazing background, just a really delightful person. But when I Googled this individual, I thought, let me just Google them. Their social media was pretty colorful. And just even being out at an event and having all sorts of alcoholic beverages could turn people off, or even showing smoking. There's so many different things. So be very mindful. People do Google and they do look things up. And then that's one of the ways I know that employers, if anything is falsified also on your application, that later down the road, it could be terms for separation. So gosh, be really careful. Do your very best to be honest, because sometimes it's hard to put all the information on there because companies close and shut down and people leave. So just do your very best to be transparent there. Yes, Rad, what do you have?
Should I put, or what do I do if I forgot my supervisor's name when I'm writing up my resume?
I would just put human resources there.
All right.
Just put human resource so you can populate something. That's a great question. So can screen out applicants use keywords. Okay, so that's what I had spoken about before. With the AI, you've got to use those keywords. Don't be fancy and go to the syllabus and switch it up. Please use the exact jargon that is written in the job description. So important. Okay, this is your chance. One of our girls that she's so amazing. One of my colleagues that teaches the resume class, she's just like a wild resume guru cheerleader. She loves it. The top third, we always talk about the top third of your resume is primetime real estate, where you want to put all the goodness about yourself. Your resume is your chance to really show your skills, to grab people's attention. Now I say that, but you want to make sure on this it says use space wisely. You do not want your resume to look like a 2-page quick Cliff Notes for War and Peace, because it's just jam-packed with information. You want to make sure you have some white space. You want to make sure you're very succinct. So again, this is where I highly recommend connect with your local career force, attend those resume workshops. You can even go to the events page and do one-on-one job search appointments and connect with people either on the phone, in person, or online, which is so great. Please also follow directions. Be complete, be neat. So this sounds kind of, someone told me the other day, they said, well, that sounds elementary. It does, but you'd be so surprised. So here's my example for follow directions. So there was a position posted with the state. It was posted 3 different times. And because I kind of stalk I stalk all the different jobs that are posted all the time, because I tell people that I talk to about what's going on in the different counties and areas around me. And so I noticed the job was continually posted. So I reached out to that recruiter. I said, hey, what's going on? And she said that in their job description, I mean, it's several pages, but towards the bottom, it said that you must provide a cover letter. And when they reposted this job, what really caught my eye, other than the multiple posts, is the first line of the job description. She changed it to be in bold, caps locked, must provide cover letter. And she said that people were not doing that. The reason why they were asking for the cover letter is that particular job involved a tremendous amount of writing and documentation. They needed to have a little glimpse or sample of their grammar, their writing abilities, their ability to communicate. And so if you cannot follow directions on a resume, on your application, in everything they ask you to do, there's no way in heck they're going to interview you, let alone employ you. So be really mindful. I have seen job descriptions that have said, towards the bottom, it'll say, once you've applied, please email, it can be the hiring manager, the recruiter, your resume, your cover letter. And sometimes it'll have a list of questions. So, and let's acknowledge this, when you are applying for jobs and you're just constantly online and you're just reading and searching, you kind of glaze over. Everything just kind of seems to mesh into one. It just really can get old. It can get frustrating, and it's so easy to miss these little details. So take breaks. Take, 10, 15, 20 minutes, take time to go outside for a walk, have a conversation with somebody, and then come back. But just be really mindful to read through all of the job description and just to be prepared. I do recommend that everybody, I'm just going to side note this too, do a cover letter. They can be old school, but what if it's the one person that really values it? And I know for the state, at the bottom of each job description, it'll have the recruiter's name, and it a lot of times has their email and or phone number. I always reach out to those folks and I say, hey, I've applied for such and such position. I'm calling to see if you can tell me who the hiring manager is so I can include their name on my cover letter. Just kind of a little extra fun thing. Okay, so the applications are really important. Be thorough, be complete. Now, okay, so the complete part is, let's say that there's they ask you a question and it's not applicable to you. Just put an NA or just write not applicable. That shows them that you did see that question, you did, and you acknowledged it, and that's part of being thorough. Hello, Red.
There we go. Can they detect AI generated resumes or cover letters?
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please?
Yes. Can they detect AI generated resumes or cover letters?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, I'm such a frustrating thing to discuss. That's a good question. So it's sometimes it becomes humorous and frustrating because folks are using AI with such prevalence. They're using it as their end all be all. AI is supposed to be helpful. It's not supposed to be the entirety of your capacity and thought process and represent yourself. So if you use AI to help tweak a resume, cover letter, or any type of anything you're going to present to the employer, a thank you note, it's very much advisable that you go in and you read it yourself. Don't just copy paste and move on. Go in and read it, change it to your verbiage as well. There's certain AI platforms that use the same types of word and same types of verbiage, and it's very easy to see. We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago that one of the directors shared that they received 2 identical thank you notes that were generated from AI. There are programs that companies use to scan resumes. Not only are they scanning resumes, but they're able to scan people's work to see who really is working and doing the job authentically and who's leaning on AI to perform their entirety of their roles. Remember, the people who created AI, everything is created to benefit and to financially benefit folks. People are always going to jump on the bandwagon to try to make a living and help themselves. So there are people creating software to be able to detect and kind of out AI things. So use it wisely. If you use it for your resume, cover letter, whatever, please make sure you're reading it, you're tweaking it. It needs to be in how you would represent yourself. It needs to be believable. You need to be able to sell it as your authentic self. And also, if you put something in writing for AI, it generates it and you put it in writing and you are hired, and then later you don't have that skill, they can have it in writing and say, this is what you said you could do. And then that could be grounds for dismissal as well. So be very, very mindful. Yes. It's your friend. AI can be your friend, but it's not your bestie, it's not your crush, it's not your ride or die. It's just kind of your friend that you hang out with periodically. That's my description. Okay, oh my gosh. So this proofreading exercise, this always gets me. Okay, so let's look at, first of all, I don't like the caps locks, but whatever, it is what it is. So looking at this, finished files are the results of years of scientific study combined with the experience of years. How many F's, the letter F, like fishing, how many F's do you see? No. Please put in the chat, how many F's do you see in this blurb here? It's a 5, 3. Okay, let me see. What is my, caps locks are shouting. However, for example, like my supervisor and I, we and the team that I work on, sometimes when you're in a rush and you're reading quick Teams messages and different things, there's something I just need to punctuate. This is what it is. And so we'll pop caps locks and things periodically because our team knows that we're not yelling at each other, but that we're like, hey, grab this from this message. So sometimes it just depends on who you're communicating with. And also the person that made the comment about the shouting, it's be mindful that everyone communicates differently and someone might have good intentions. They may just want to really draw this to your attention, and it's possible maybe they don't type well and it's easier for them to do the caps locks. Okay, let's see what it says. Okay, I think the answer is 6. It's 6. There are 6 F's. It's easy to miss them. Let me see. Okay, so let's talk about, this can be such a difficult subject for folks. The reason for leaving your job. So you want to choose the best languages possible. And I do think that nowadays employers and people are just more aware that there's different dynamics happening in the world. They're more compassionate. It just really depends on how you phrase it, and also that you put it in the best light possible. It could have been horrific for you, but putting it as a kind of a learning experience how you're able to evolve and grow and what you're looking for in the future. So if you lost your job and it was not your choice, maybe you had an involuntary separation, so that's like being terminated, you fired from your job. Maybe you were laid off, the company downsized, company closed, your position could have been eliminated, or maybe you were a temporary seasonal contract employee. So those are areas where you want to be really mindful to be able to say, in my previous role, I was able to learn and develop various skills that I've found to be beneficial, and kind of found that I was outgrowing that opportunity, and saw your organization as the best way for me to apply my skills to a new team, so where I could develop and remain for years to come. I mean, you can just make that positive, rather than saying, well, my boss was a jerk and my coworkers were lazy. And you don't need to say that. So remember, if something bad happened in the past, you just acknowledge it, but don't camp out there. And then if you did, just one second, Rad. And then if you did, if it was your choice to resign, or it was a voluntary separation, you can just also put the positive spin that, that you had gained knowledge and experience there, and that you're wanting to transfer those skills into this new position. So, and this is an area also where I'd recommend connecting with your local career force, because that's where they can talk to you about, specifically your situation, and kind of help you formulate a response that you're comfortable with too, that makes sense. Hi, Rad. Yes, sir.
All right, so a few questions pertaining to this. What if I wasn't a good fit, or I didn't fit the culture? And also, what if I was laid off and I have a gap in my resume?
So I think that those are great questions. So if it just wasn't a good fit, you can just legitimately just tell them that. Say, hey, I started this position, was really excited initially. It just came as a great fit, and then once I came on board, it just really turned out that we were going in different directions and had different philosophies. They're great people, had great connections. I'm just really looking for something that would be long term in a different area, that matches more of my authentic self. And you can also extend that and say, I had the opportunity before I applied. I went to your website and I was able to read your mission and your vision statements, and went to LinkedIn and looked at the profile pages for several of your employees, and really felt that this opportunity, that we're more like-minded, and that this would be a culture that would really allow me to contribute and to expand and grow with your team. Keep it positive. Just because, sometimes we don't fit into places because that's not really the best thing for us. And sometimes movement is good because we need to be somewhere else. So just always keep it positive. But then it's really important that I think that you do let them know that you looked at the organization that you're interviewing with, or that you applied for, that you did your research and you know about their mission statement, their vision statement. But if you say that, make sure you know what they are, what their mission and vision are, so that you can kind of repeat it to them and talk to them about it. Rad, you need to say the second question for me, because I just kept on going.
Yeah, you're good. What if I was laid off due to a department being moved, or if it went offshore? Would I just say that position was eliminated, or how would you go about that?
Yeah, you can just say it was a layoff. You can just write layoff, and then if it's like on a paper application, or you're applying, but then when you're in person, you can just say, hey, they laid off several folks, and here I am back on the job market again, and then just move on. Yeah. So
Yeah.
good questions.
And one more here,
Yeah.
and it kind of pertains to a previous question. How do I speak to a gap in my resume after a layoff?
Cool. Okay, so the gaps on your resume, honestly, I would just, it depends on what they were for. Leave them on your resume, and then you can write, sometimes you can add something in your cover letter about it. But if you have an interview, or if they call you to talk to you about it, you could just let them know. I mean, maybe you were in the process of job searching. Maybe you were helping your family navigate through some dynamics. I've had several men in the past, well, men and women, but I like to preface the dad's part of it, because several dads that had been stay-at-home dads after COVID and different things, and that were really concerned, how do I put that into a resume? And it's just, anytime you've had any type of gap or anything, or even if you were a stay-at-home parent, there's skills and things that you've done. Just be honest and transparent, keep it positive, and show how that enabled you to grow and develop and to contribute and to be currently today a solid candidate and a good fit for their opportunity. That's the main part. Okay, so let's talk about the portfolios portion. So what to include? So you want to make sure you have your resume, always a cover letter, old school, I'd still do it. Reference sheets, you want to have if you have letters of recommendation, sometimes folks have that. You might need to have work samples. It just depends on the type of job. Any type of copies that, like if you have different type of licensures or certificates for your job, really important to have all those things ready. Remember for your references, please make sure that all that information is current and up to date. Please make sure the people that you've listed as references are aware. And then if you are asked for your references, it's a good idea to send your references a copy of the job description that you're applying for, so that when they do have that conversation, they'll be able to speak more readily about what it is about you that would enable you to be a superstar and the best candidate for them to hire for this position. Okay, let's talk about branding. Okay, we're going to jump into resumes. So I want to look at this particular resume. So Rad, I need to push through a little bit and then we'll jump in towards the end if you don't mind. Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about branding. So when we see this resume, we have John Smith. What do you think should not be here? When you see this resume, what do you all see? Let me bring it back up. So the things that I see here, we should never have our address, ever, ever, ever. You can put Duluth, absolutely, so that they know your location, but do not have an address. Anything that's an identifier, you do not want to have. You also do not want to have the dates of your education. That's really important. Okay, this is an example of their cover letter, just something quick. Then this is an example of, oh, let me make sure. Yep, that's the cover letter. Okay, then this next one is an example of a thank you note that you did the follow-up. I think thank you notes are really crucial. Don't forget to do a really great thank you note. Please don't AI and just send out anything you see. And then now I want to jump in because there's always tons of questions. I like to power through and get past the slides. Okay, Rad, let's jump in now because now it's free for all. We're gonna have conversation.
Yes, we got some questions pertaining to the gaps again. If I experienced a loved one's passing and I was kind of mourning that, and they asked about that in an interview, or that why that gap is there, how much information is too much?
That's a really great question. I would just let them know, just say unfortunately there was someone in my family that was close to me had passed, and we just took an extended period of time to kind of walk through that grief and kind of journey through that loss, and it was really important for myself to do so, and then just leave it at that. There's a couple of things I want to add. Rad, if you just want to come on camera and just kind of, we'll just go through questions, just kind of flow through those.
Yeah, not a problem.
Because I see a lot. I am going to throw a couple of extra things out before we do the questions, but if you can just kind of stay on with me, that'd be awesome. I want to talk to folks about your, this is going to sound so elementary, but about so I know when I was unemployed, and even when you're not unemployed, there's so many calls that come in, so many phone calls that we receive, robocalls, spam, whatever. Remember, when you have applied for jobs, when you put your resume on Indeed, whatever, people have your phone number. You could have applied for a position here in Minnesota. The recruiter could live in California. Please answer all of the calls, every single call, even if you don't know who it is. If you answer it and it's someone trying to sell you something, whatnot, you can say, gosh, thank you for calling. I'm just not interested. Take care. And you can disconnect and you can hang up, and then you can press block. Very important, please answer all your calls. I know of folks that won't call you back a second time if they continue to be screened. Also, please make sure that your voicemail is cleared out. Frequently we call people and it says voicemail is full. You've got to stay on top of that. Please make sure your voicemail is professional. And another thing, this is so big. When you answer the phone, so like myself and I know Rad, we call people, make hundreds of calls a week, and we're connecting and getting in touch with people. When I call somebody and I'm excited, I have news for them, I have information, I have resources. What I tell you could be a game changer and elevate you to the next level, and I'm excited to help you. And I'm calling, and then someone's like, "Yeah, yo, what, yellow, huh?" People are really not pleasant. And then I'll introduce myself, and they'll be like, "Oh, what do you want?" Or, "Oh, I already." Please be so mindful. In past jobs that I've had where not with the state, not even in Minnesota, when I either was calling someone to screen them for a job or maybe even to work on my team, if I called someone and they answered the phone abruptly or they were rude or anything, I would say, "Oh gosh, I think I have the wrong number." And I would exit that conversation, because truthfully, the way that you present yourself every step of the way when someone encounters you is the authenticity of what you're going to bring to that role at some point. So be very mindful. I know those calls, you're like, "Oh my God, I'm getting another phone call." It's rough, but I mean, just be aware that could be your future. So just be like, "Hey, yeah, sure." If you need to reschedule something, or, "God, can I do this another time?" or whatever, be pleasant. Please be aware of your email address. If your email address is hotharleydude at Hotmail, I would separate that. I would make a separate email through, like a Google, not a Google, like, well, a Gmail or Yahoo or whatever, that's professional. If your email has any identifiers, like where it could be misconstrued as your age, shouldn't be anything suggestive or any, I mean, just, I had a woman, bless her heart, super sweet. Her email had 420, like the number 420. I didn't learn what that meant till just the past few years, and she had no clue. I said, "Oh, is that your birthday?" And she said, "Yes, my birthday's on April 20th." And I said, "Oh, well, that's really coincidental. I just want to share something special with you." And then I just let her know that 420 meant something else. And so she says, "Oh my." And so we created a new email for her. So just you're like, "Why are you being so picky? Why is this so silly?" We never know at what point someone's going to be biased or aware. But the main thing I want to tell you, I can't stress enough about answering the phone and being pleasant and available and receptive. Huge. Oh, that's my little soapbox. I'm sorry I had to get on there. Okay, Rad. I think you'd agree with me on the phone thing.
Yes, phone and also the email. I cannot tell you how many times. In fact, this morning I just talked to someone where I emailed them back and said, "Free chicken. White Dragon is not the most professional email. You might want to correct that."
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
if I was going to school and I didn't complete my degree due to some circumstances, and I only got 3 years of my bachelor's completed, how do I articulate that in a resume? Like, would I say studied, or how would I word that?
I think so. Okay, I think studied would be perfect. Perfect way to say that. And then, but okay, there's several points on this. Um, if it's requires a degree, sometimes it'll put requirement or applicable experience. I know the state last year, Walls opened it up where some of the positions were going to be, it didn't require a degree. It could also be your applicable, like your job history. Make sure that you do disclose that. In the interview process, especially if they're about to make you an offer. My goodness, I spoke to the most wonderful person a couple of months ago. They were the most lovely, fantastic. They had great verbiage, great energy, beautiful resume, amazing person. They were on their fourth interview with a really high-powered organization. They made them the offer. And then they're so excited because we went through the tough parts about their applying and kind of everything there. And then when it came time for the background portion, that person called me back. They said, "I have a problem." They never completed high school. They don't have their high school diploma, and they never got their GED. But they had gotten out of school and just been a powerhouse their whole life and had these really big jobs. And so now they actually lost that. They couldn't, they had to rescind the offer because you had to have at least a high school diploma or GED for that position. But so please be very, things will come back. They will find you. So even if you haven't completed that, It's okay. Don't panic. Still look and see if they would accept prior experience. And then also what I had told that person is let that employer know that you're in process of getting your GED because they liked you, they wanted you. Maybe that after you completed that education piece, they'd bring you back. And I'm going to caveat off of that. If anyone here is on UI, if you're on the unemployment insurance, we do have, don't take this the wrong way. I'm going to say this and please don't take it in different directions. We have a program that's called the Dislocated Worker Program, where if you've lost your job to no fault of your own, it's possible that the state would continue to pay for your UI, but then they would also help you to complete different areas of education, whether it's a professional certificate license. We have had people in the past that lacked just a few credits or hours and completed degrees and so forth. So you might want to check out, I'd encourage you to connect with your local career force to see if that's something where you could, we may be able to help you complete that. Okay, I'm ready. Go, Red.
Might be weird, but how do what do I do if I've been in jail?
You
How would I?
know, Weird is welcome and available. We are all our authentic selves, so that is okay. And life happens and things happen. So here with Career Force, we have it used to be called, I think they still call it In Tandem. So for anyone that has been in jail, had any type of criminal background, we call that justice involved. So we have, and there's actually can you put a link to that, Rad? So, so Career Force has a team that's specifically focused on those justice involved folks to be able to help you with how to apply for jobs at the different employers that are more receptive, how to communicate that. Sometimes they can help you get things off of your record. There's this beautiful team of people that concentrate on helping people that has been your life journey, and things happen and we're here to help you. So we will send you, and in the follow-up email, there will be information in that. However, I encourage you not to just sit and delay. Just jump on Google. Also, you can jump on Google and type in Career Force and put justice involved, and then that'll come up for you as well. But pretty much almost any work scenario, even if it's weird, bizarre, uncomfortable, there's so many things. I mean, life happens and jobs, people, we're all people, things happen. We here at Career Force can kind of help you navigate those things. So I just encourage you to get in touch with your local Career Force. Leadership, management, everybody, they're fantastic people that really understand and want to help you thrive and be successful no matter what your scenario is. Yeah.
Should I keep outdated certifications to show I can still learn them?
Oh, that's really good. So when you are applying for a specific position today, in today's climate, if the job description does not ask for a specific certification license, if it's not applicable that you have your MBA or your PhD and all this extra, which is amazing, and I love that you have obtained that. If the job description does not ask for it, do not include it. Only include it if it's applicable. Again, back in the day, they would be able to look at your resume and see all your bells and whistles and your goodness, and they'd say, wow, they're going to do a great job here, and we're excited about them. And look, they'll be able to climb the ladder and evolve and help and contribute. But nowadays, people see it as, it tends to be that employers will see it as you being overqualified, or it might be viewed as you're a competitive individual that could come in and take their own role. And also, employers just want you to sit in the chair and do the job. I think there's some concern a lot of times that folks are going to come in, have all this extra experience, and they're going to come in and go, yeah, I like how y'all do this, but we used to do so and so at my other job, or when I worked at yada yada, we did all this grand, and you're going to want to change things. So if it's not applicable, do not include it. But make sure you do the research on the company, on their values, on look at their LinkedIn, look if they have promoted within kind of their structure to see if that's a company that you want to sign on with, to see if you can grow and develop, if they do truly grow internally, like promote internally.
Okay. Over the years, my work experience is no longer related to my college degree. How do I get by the vetting process if my degree is no longer related to the position, but my work experience is exactly perfect?
That is an awesome question. So a lot of times I've noticed in job descriptions, they'll say degree required, and it'll list the different types of degrees that they prefer, and it'll have or similar or something acceptable per HR. So that's where you're going to want to have that piece of paper. You know, sometimes you just had to get the degree to the piece of paper. Right? I know I have my piece of paper I'm still paying for. That you just include that. Make sure to include if it wants the degree and you have it, that you include that in your resume and your application, and that you do put this specific, even though, I mean, heck, it could be accounting. You're agree to be something in accounting, but you're doing something in criminal justice, you know, just it doesn't matter. Just show that you had the piece of paper and show that you had the experience that backs it up that you could do the job. It's just you're just checking off little boxes. But remember, you're always in a mode of selling yourself in a believable way that you believe also that you'd be able to be immediate impact and a long-term team player. I want to say
Um,
long-term contributor. People say team player so much, and it's really, worn out. So let's be a contributor. Okay.
how do we avoid giving out our information to potential scammers? What's the best way we can stay safe? And what are some immediate red flags?
Great question. I do want to say, I know it's 11 o'clock and this is supposed to be a
Nope.
1 hour workshop. I am happy to stay and answer questions. Are you available, Rad?
Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah, so we can stay and answer questions for a little bit. That's good. So and you guys are welcome to stay on if you'd like. I do want to say tomorrow we are going to send out that email, give it mid-afternoon. Please, please, please connect with your local career force. It's scary connecting with somebody new. You've got all sorts of emotions, all sorts of dynamics. You might be really irritated because you don't want a job search or you're having these different things happen. We know that. We're going to take great care of you. Just show up, and you can even say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't necessarily want to be here, but I need help. We will take care of you. We will help you. So just remember, show up, show up, show up. So for any of the things that are happening with, the spam and stuff, honestly, I mean, just delete, just delete things, block things. Be very mindful. I want to talk about Indeed, like any type of third-party search engine. So keep in mind that some of these search engines, they have contracts and they are paid to have jobs posted. And that if you ever see anything posted on Indeed, I highly recommend you go to that company's website directly and apply through that company's website. It's very common that a position posted on Indeed will have closed, but they're still accepting applications because they're still getting paid. Okay, they're still getting paid for each click, each application that comes through. So if you're feeling really good about yourself that you've applied for 20 jobs on Indeed, it's possible only one got through. And another thing about Indeed and just don't just throw your resume out there everywhere to everybody, because that has all your personal information. So that's where another thing, like with the spam and such, just be mindful not to just post your resume on every single job board out there. Now, Minnesota Works and Career Force, those are state-run sites, so they're very much protected. There's all sorts of vetting. The employers that have access to your resume on Minnesota Works and on Career Force, they've been vetted. We have a team that has gone on and contacted their employer, contacted their supervisors to make sure that they are real people, and there's a lot that employers have to do to get on there. So because we want to protect you and just champion our employers and champion our job seekers.
Oh, this is a really good question. Does Career Force have any resources for folks recovering from jobs that were not psychologically safe, trying to figure out how to feel good about going into a next job when recovering from that kind of environment?
Wow, I have been there too. I totally get that. Let me say this. I currently, I don't believe that we have anything that would really dive into that. I think I don't know if you still have any type of insurance available or whatnot. I think I would really, honestly, I think I would Google, because so many resources out there. I think I would Google, um, like how to de-escalate from a hostile work environment, how to let go of, start Googling and looking at different resources that are available to you because there's so many. And something I want to say, I mean, I just really want, if you hear almost anything that I've said, um, this place that you're in right now, this may not have been what you'd have chosen for yourself. And again, we talked about, you have to unpack things, but don't camp out there. The most important thing you can do for yourself is to be kind with your thoughts about how you think about yourself, how you talk to yourself. It's so easy for us to self-sabotage and for us to ruminate over the bad things and what's going on. Why can't I find a job? Why aren't people responding? I'm a good person. I have these skills. I'm likable. There's all this. And I found that when I went through unemployment, I had these really dark moments where I just kind of felt hopeless. I'm like, it was just too much. And I was drowning. I was. And this is temporary. This is temporary. For some reason, you were displaced, and I promise you, you're going to be able to get through this. Remember that discipline your mind and your thoughts to be positive. Surround yourself with positive people. Just take breaks from people if you have someone in your life that doesn't get it or understand. But just be very kind. Be kind to yourself. When you have that little voice saying, well, they're not going to hire me. Why would I even apply for that? That's not a possibility. Why was it so stupid? I can't. Just tell yourself to stop. Like you're 5 years old. Say, I'm not doing that today. I don't have time for that activity. Be kind and be patient and just do one day at a time. You have to get in front of the right people. It has to be the right situation. And also, like, I stopped watching the news. There's so many things I stopped and took away from my space, my little happy space in my core, because I couldn't handle the negativity. And that includes relationships. I took breaks. So I just really want to encourage people, be mindful of your ability to build yourself up and to be kind and be patient with yourself. It's huge.
So we got folks that live on both sides of the river. If I was dislocated from working in Minnesota and I live in Wisconsin, um, can I utilize dislocated worker benefits?
That's an awesome question. If you are, several things there. If you are on unemployment, if you're receiving UI benefits, then it's absolutely a possibility that you would qualify. Absolutely. And that's where, in the email we're going to send tomorrow, well, okay, several things. We're going to send an email that has links to that, but you can contact your local career force and ask them about their dislocated worker program. You can go on and, find the location and Google, put in career force dislocated worker program and it'll come up and you can fill out information there. But absolutely, we have folks that are in Wisconsin and different areas, yes, that have utilized that and been successful. Absolutely. And there's other programs that we have. There's so many different avenues. Minnesota, the state of Minnesota wants to promote and support and see people thrive and want to be advocates for you. So please reach out to that local career force. And there's all sorts of programs in our partner agencies. You just never know. It may not be that we have something, we may know of someone else. But again, if you don't ask, you won't know. So just always ask and always show up. Absolutely.
Follow-up question for the certificate and skills. What if the certificate is not related to the job, however, the skills are transferable? For example, I have a certificate in neuro-linguistic programming, which helps understand different communication styles, which help you understand others better. How do I communicate that?
Gosh, so then go ahead and include it on your, if you do think it has the transferable skills, then add it to that resume. And then you could put in your cover letter, you could put a comment about how the cultural diversity and knowledge of the various language and the connectivity with others transfers into your ability to do the same in other careers and in this applicable role. You could also add that as get your bullet points, one of your highlighted capabilities that diversity and in being inclusive and being able to connect and relate and appreciate others from different backgrounds, because those cross-cultural languages, that's a big thing, because language isn't just verbiage, it's not just words. There's a particular way of a delivery, and that's huge. It's a whole nother conversation. But no, I think that's a fantastic skill that someone would want to scoop you up to have that capability. Yeah.
What if you're contacted by a recruiter asking for your info?
So that's good too. Remember, recruiters are trying to keep their jobs as well. Sometimes, so when you're a recruiter, and I'm not talking about with the state, but like just with, I'm not relating this to the state, but a recruiter has to have a pipeline of resumes, of constant resumes coming in. They have requirements from their boss. They have to constantly be pulling in people's information. So, vet them. Ask them, say, hey, that sounds really great. I'd like to talk to you more about, can you tell me more about your organization? Can you tell me about the positions you were considering me for? What are you looking to hire for? And then see if they'll have a conversation with you and ask them, say, would you mind shooting me an email? And if they sound legitimate when you talk to them, ask them to send you an email, and then it should have their company's name on there. So vet them like they're vetting you. You don't have to be tacky about it, but you can be professional and say, hey, sounds great. Tell me more about you. I wouldn't just say, oh, hey, that's so great. And send your information out willy-nilly, because there are people out there that prey on the desperate nature of things that are going on with folks. So just be really mindful. And also, it really concerns me that I've spoken to so many people that are looking for jobs right now that say, oh, they're just very casual. Well, I have 5 or 6 recruiters that I'm talking to. And, those 5 or 6 recruiters could have taken your resume, boop, put it in my pipeline, check my box for my quota this week. I have obtained 6 resumes today. So remember, you constantly be in a flow. Don't put the eggs of your basket of your future and your livelihood in someone else and hoping that they're going to be working on your behalf. So just be mindful. But it's not, some recruiters are amazing. I have found jobs through just phenomenal recruiters that were very intentional and great. I'm not poo-pooing on recruiters at all, but I'm just saying, please, don't just be aware and mindful and advocate for yourself, and just be smart and savvy about things. But good question.
Can you retouch on your education not having anything to do with your current skills?
So, some of us, we went and got our piece of paper and we had the intention of being in that area, and then we were branched off in other directions. So I just think if it's important, if an employer wants the education piece, and if you have it, but if it doesn't fit into the little box where they say we want it to be in this particular area, but they have acceptable alternative per HR, then just add that you do have your degree, because that shows that you have the degree, and then make sure that on the skills that you're listing throughout the previous jobs that you've had, only if on the job description those are skills that you have, what they're asking for, make sure those are clearly written throughout your resume, because then it will show them that you have the skill, and then that will entice them to want to have a conversation with you. And if they have any concerns about your degree being totally way off in left field, they'll be able to ask you about it at that time. But then if you show word for word throughout your resume that you do mirror and match the job description, then that'll entice them to want to call you. Okay, let's do a couple more questions. We're so happy to be able to stay and chat with you guys, but I just want to reiterate the importance. It's crucial to please connect with your local career force. Please go ahead and jump on the events page with Career Force and create those one-on-one job search appointments. Sign up for those. But it's just please, please, please get with your local career force. I can't stress how great people are. Stay positive, be proactive, be nice to yourself, put up healthy boundaries if you need to. Trust your instincts. Just a couple more questions, Brad. Is that okay? Then we
Yep,
can.
I have actually just one more right now.
Okay.
All of them you've captured all of them. How do I not sound desperate when networking or looking for work?
That's, I had somebody tell me when they said, you're coming across too strong. And I said, oh gosh, but I'm from Texas. I'm strong. So yes, So I think that's a good one. Just take a deep breath, do that, practice talking out loud about your goals and your intentions and how you want to represent yourself. Take a deep breath, take it down. Even maybe talk to a friend or someone around you and say, how does this sound? What do you think about? Just be mindful that even if, when you apply for a job and you put information out there and you're waiting for feedback, there's all sorts of things going on in the background. People could be sick. People could be out there, could have been a death. They could have had someone resign. They could have technology changes. They could have had a budget change. There's so many dynamics. People could be on vacation. So sometimes there's all these pause points, and that's a real frustration. So just, I've got some sort of fuzzball in front of the screen. So just take a deep breath, be mindful of yourself, just kind of maybe have a little conversation with yourself beforehand, and I'm just going to be calm. Sometimes I will jot down notes about things I want to cover when I feel myself getting overly excited and going in different directions, because I tend to get kind of animated. So then I can tell myself, no, I need to stay within these little touch points. I think that's important to do that. I don't know if that helps at all, but we are so excited that you joined us. Signing up and showing up is sometimes that's the most difficult part, and the insecurities and the frustrations and things. So you're here, and that's amazing. Please stay with us, stay present, be patient with yourself, connect with your local career force. We are happy to help you. And that's it. Thank you for being you, and have a beautiful